Hi all, welcome to another video of Indian Financial Service. The topic which we are going to discuss in this video is hire purchase and installment system. Here we discuss the concept of hire purchase and how it is differ from an installment system. What are the major areas in hire purchase and installment system?
And the concept of a hire purchase and installment system. First of all, let us see what is purchase. Purchase refers to those goods which are brought with the intention of selling and acquire something by paying it. So that is called buy. So buying something for paying some amount, that is also called purchase. These are the two different angle of a purchase process. Purchasing something for your own use and purchasing for the purpose of reselling the goods to someone else. The purchase includes both cash purchase and credit purchase situations. In cash purchase, the purchase process involves immediate payment of cash at the time of a purchase process. And in credit purchase, it arises when the payment for the purchase of goods is not made at the time of transaction and the payment is only at the future period of time or a future date. First of all, we discuss the concept of installment system. So this is a definition of installment system. A system by which a buyer pays for a thing in regular installment while enjoying the use of it. That is the first definition of installment system. And the second one is the method of paying for something in which the buyer pays part of the cost immediately and then makes small regular payment until the debt is completely paid. So these are the two important definitions of installment system. Let us see the concept of installment system. The ownership is transferred at the time of purchase of that particular goods. That is the first important thing. And the buyer gets the ownership right also as soon as the contract is signed with the seller. And if he makes any default in the payment of any installment, the seller can repossess the article only with the help of the court. So ownership right is transferring, that is why the seller can take back the goods only with the help of the court. Payment in installment at agreed rate of interest, that is the another characteristics. You are paying the installment at an agreed rate of interest. An installment purchase agreement is a contract used to finance the acquisition of asset. Under the terms of such agreement, the buyer pays the seller the full purchase price by making a series of partial payment over time. The payment include started or imputed interest. The buyer takes till the property at the inception of the agreement. The seller retains the security interest in the property until all the specified payment have been made. Let us see some of the characteristics of the installment system. Installment payment system is a contract on credits basis and is made from beginning. That is the first characteristics. Second one, installment payment system, the ownership on the goods are transferred to the customer only at the time of transaction of sales. And the third one is the installment payment system, the owner or the seller doesn't have the right to take over the goods if the customer failed to pay installment. If the customer is failed to pay the installment, the owner or seller doesn't have the right to take over the goods. That is the third characteristics. In installment payment system, the buyer can transfer the goods anytime to the third party after transaction. So the buyer has an option to transfer or sell the goods to any third party after the transaction. In installment payment system, the vendor can claim the court for the recovery of outstanding amount of debt, if any. So if there is any default situation, that the vendor can approach the court for getting the amount back. The installment payment system, the vendor bears no responsibility concerning repairs and maintenance cost of the goods that he is selling to the customer. In the installment payment system, the accounts are maintained by only one method. The vendor bears the maximum risk in installment payment system. That is the another characteristics, because the ownership is transferring along with during the time of the sales process. The parties in the installment system, the purchase of the goods are called the buyer and the selling person is called the seller. Mr. X purchases bikes from Honda. Let us take an example. Mr. X purchases bikes from Honda. Mr. X is the buyer and Honda is the seller. And in the second one, in cases of a hire purchase system, it is different from the installment system. Let us see the concept of a hire purchase system. Under hire purchase system, the seller agrees to sell the article on the condition that the buyer shall pay the purchase price through installment. So this is the conditions of a hire purchase system. And the article is not legally sold to the buyer in hire purchase system. It is not legally, there is no legal sales for the article in cases of a hire purchase system. And under hire purchase system, the seller agrees to sell the article on the condition that the buyer has sell that property with the expectation that the payment price is paying via under installment system. In hire purchase system, if the consumer is unable to pay the installment, the vendor can take back the goods considering the prepaid installment by purchaser as rent. So he can take back the goods. There is an option of taking back the goods in cases of a hire purchase system. And in hire purchase system, the vendor bears the responsibility of repairing and maintenance of goods. So the vendor bears the responsibility of the repairing and maintenance of the goods he purchased in the in the sale situation. In hire purchase system, there are two methods of accounting in books of purchaser, that is asset accrual method and credit purchase method. These are two accounting books they are preparing, and in hire purchase system the vendor bears the minimum risk on the sale by this system. There will be a minimum risk situation as compared to installment system. This is a definition of a hire purchase system: a system for purchasing merchandise such as cars, furniture, in which the buyer takes the possession of the merchandise on payment of a deposit and complete the purchase by paying a series of regular installment, while the seller retains ownership until the final installment is paid. So this is the definition of hire purchase system. So in this definition explaining, it is a system of purchasing merchandise, that is a one part, and the buyer takes the possession of the merchandise, that is the second part. The payment of a particular deposit will be there, and there is a regular payment of installment is there, And the next one is ownership is transferring until the final installment is paid. So based on which, let us see some of the characteristics of the hire purchase system. Hire purchase system is an agreement which turns afterwards into sales after the payment of a last installment. In hire purchase system, the ownership on the goods are transferred to customer only after paying the commodity. In hire purchase system, the vendor has the right to take over the goods back if the customer failed to pay for the commodity. That is the another one. And in hire purchase system, the purchaser doesn't transfer the commodity to third party before paying all the installment. So in cases of installment system, even the purchaser can have an option for transferring or selling the goods to any other person before paying the last installment. But here in this case, you can transfer the goods to any third party only after paying the last installment. Let us see, Mr. X purchased a car from Maruti. Mr. X is the hire purchaser and Maruti is the hire vendor or hire owner, and there will be another party in between these two is called it's called financing parties. They were giving financial assistance for the purchase process. So that is also there in cases of this situation. And let us see an example. Mr. X planned to buy a car rupees 5 lakh, that is, and a down payment of rupees 1 lakh with him, balance rupees 4 lakh taken from a bank, and interest is 12.5% per year, and is taking loan for 7 years, and EMI per month is 7,168 rupees. Let us see in this case, after 7 years, the total amount payable by Mr. X is 6 lakh 2,154, and total interest payable is the difference of the amount of loan and the actual amount he is paying, that is 2 lakh 2,154 is the interest that is paying during this 7-year time period, and the amount for which an article have purchased, and that is called cash price, and here the cash price is rupees 5 lakh. The actual cost of the particular product is called the cash price, and here it is rupees 5 lakh. Then the second one is the hire purchase price. Cash price plus interest is the hire purchase price, that is 5 lakh is the cash price plus 2 lakh 2,154 is the interest. So total hire purchase price is 6 lakh 2,154. And down payment is the amount paid by the buyer at the time of purchase, that is called down payment. Rupees 1 lakh is a down payment, and net cash price is a difference between cash price and down payment. Cash price and down payment. Net cash price is the difference between the cash price and down payment. So these are some of the details regarding the hire purchase agreement. A hire purchase agreement must contain the following. One is a description of goods. Second one, purchase price of goods. Third one, date of commencement of agreement. And the fourth one is the number of installment is that he is paying. So these are all the details in an hire purchase agreement. Let us see what is the difference between hire purchase and installment system. In hire purchase system, it is a system of buying of goods by making regular payment until the purchase price is paid. But in cases of installment system, the system of credit sales in which a sum of money or debt is paid regularly in installment. So that is the situation of an installment system. And in case of hire purchase, it possesses the future of hiring. So it possesses the future of hiring, and in installment system it possesses the nature of selling. So first one is the possess the nature of hiring. Second one, installment system is the nature of selling. So hire purchase is the process of nature of hiring. It is the process of hiring process, and installment is the process, the nature of selling. And the next one, in hire purchase system, the ownership of the goods remain with the seller until the full price is paid. So that is the hire purchase system. And in installment system, the ownership is transferred immediately after the first payment. So after the first payment, the ownership is transferring in cases of a installment system. So in case of ownership, the difference is in hire purchase, the ownership will be transferring until the last installment paid. But in case of installment system, the ownership is transferring at the time of paying the first installment. Let us see, in cases of hire purchase system, the buyer cannot transfer or sell the goods until the final installment is made. So without paying the last installment system, the buyer has no right to transfer the goods. But in case of installment system, the buyer can sell or transfer the ownership of goods to anyone. So there is no such right. At any time he can sell goods to any third person. And here the next one is the difference of hire purchase and installment is, in hire purchase generally there are three parties involved: seller, financing party and the buyer. And in cases of installment, two parties are there, and that is called seller and buyer. Then the next difference is, in cases of default in payment of goods can be seized by the vendor or seller in cases of a hire purchase system. But in cases of installment system, the goods cannot be seized in cases of a default of a payment. So in installment system, we can actually the ownership is transferring, so he can approach to court. Via court only he can take back the goods. Then another one, in cases of repairs and maintenance, in hire purchase system, it is the responsibility of the seller to do all the repairs and maintenance of the particular goods. But in case of installment system, the buyer is responsible for the repairs and maintenance of the asset. And regarding the interest rate part, in hire purchase system, there will be flat rate of interest for a hire purchase system, and installment system, interest is already included in the installment amount. So that is a difference of interest rate in cases of hire purchase and installment system. Let us see, institutional agencies for supply of hire purchase finance. Actually, a lot of institutions are actively engaged for supporting hire purchase finance. Among the institutions specialized in creating hire purchase finance in India, the finance companies enjoy a unique position in the non-banking financial sector of our country. These companies handle most of the hire purchase transaction and works as the vital link between the hirer at one end and the server and the bank on the other end. So normally these parties are actually connecting between these two parties, the buyer and the seller, and in between these two parties there will be the role of a bank will be there. This increase the number of companies in their volume deposit from the public may be taken sufficient indications for the expansion of activities of this particular agency of supplying hire purchase finance. A lot of agencies are there for supporting hire purchase finance. RBI classifies a company as hire purchase company on the basis of the main object clause as well as the principal items of assets in the balance sheet, as also in the main source of its income as disclosed in the profit and loss account of the company is concerned. A large majority of the private hire purchase financiers are sole proprietary and partnership firms as started in the earlier days. Unlike this, Unlike those companies in the developed countries, the banks in India were until recent past in different position as suppliers of hire purchase finance. This is perhaps partly due to the continuous of somewhat traditional precepts of the commercial banking in our country for a long period of time. Let us see some of the hire purchase financing companies in India. Sundaram Financing Company is one of the company. Motor and General Financing Company, Mercantile Credit Corporation Limited, Nagarjuna Finance Company, Sriram Fibers Finance Company, Investment Trust of India. These are some of the leading financing companies, hire purchasing financing companies in India. So that's all regarding this video of hire purchase and installment system. In this video, we have discussed the concept of installment system and the concept of hire purchase, how hire purchase is different from installment system, and what are the characteristics of both these systems, and regulations of hire purchase and installment system in Indian concept. And thank you all for watching this video, and see you in the next video. Thank you. See you again.